Where is this? It's been a while since I streamed. Is it this one? Take this time. Okay. And let's see if shit works. Specifically on TikTok. Because this is my first time multi-streaming to TikTok as well. And as always, this does not update. It's my title. But yeah, this stream is just going over this video or this VOD from like a couple hours before PBE was live. And this is me going over everything I had at that point in time. Uh, every comp I made, which was like 50 or 60, and did a pretty good job. But I wanna like actually keep like a score just so people can know how accurate. Okay, does this shit work or not? I guess I can check my phone. Looks like this is not connected properly. I can't see anything for. I'm just gonna operate on the assumption that the TikTok is not working, and I would have to troubleshoot that off stream. Whoops. Okay. Whatever, it's okay. TikTok viewers don't really care about my TFT, so it's fine. Okay, so I'm just going to like scrub through this VOD where I talk because there's like some gaps and stuff. So yeah, it's a lot of comps, a lot of like taking like yeah, there's a lot of flexibility and stuff here. So I'm just gonna script. Okay, Mecha. Well, let's say here. ASL build wrong, but I mean, okay. So the things I don't know beforehand, or I didn't know beforehand, what the upgraded mechas did, what the Nova Strikes did, what all the emblem effects did. Yeah. So I guess the main difference here is that I have Psionic over Nova, because I didn't know what the Nova effects did. So, had I known, I mean, even then, but people don't even run this. It's Fiora. I mean, yeah, I mean, it is just this, but with Fiora, I guess Karma. But this also works fine. If the Psionic is good, I mean, okay, what Psionic would you want here? Joan for, I guess maybe either of the ones can be okay on Asol, and not really. You drone up Link is probably really good on Asol. Um, And then is the tank one good on Mac? Maybe. With the nerfs, it might be good in place of like Sterak's. Yeah, this is mostly correct. At least as far as I could have predicted. Because like, how would I know that you're like one? I got solo frontline correct. I got the pieces and the support units right. How would I predict that the upgrade mega form makes Asol no longer attack? That's not possible. So yeah, I think this is mostly correct. I'll count this. I mean, this one, like a lot of these aren't going to be that hard, but there's some other ones that are a bit more tricky, a bit more complicated. This is as straightforward as putting in all the mecha and then putting in support units, like to get their traits in. So I mean, I'm counting this as correct, but I mean, this isn't the any of the skill expressive stuff yet. So like, let's see. Redeemer. This is like a bronze for life comp. This is just a random one. This is kind of dog shit. I think it's not terrible, but I don't really see any reason to play this because you're not even up-meching any of the units here. I don't think ever seen anyone play non-meched Asol. So I'm not sure how. I mean, if that becomes meta, this board could be like okay, but like I think specifically with Bronze for Life and Redeemer. But I mean, this isn't like a real comp. But I also knew that like yeah, like even here I'm saying that like I'm just trying to look for Redeemer, which is basically Bronze for Life. But I'm trying to keep track is how many of the actual comps I got correct. Like me overcompensating by making extra stuff doesn't really matter. Because it's just about being able to look through and see if there's good stuff in these comps. What am I doing here? I'm updating it to some extent, but it doesn't really matter. Darkstar Karma. This is pretty straightforward. You just put in Darkstar, and then you get their traits in. Uh, Using Mighty Mech as the tank is kind of bait, but I mean, I also don't have access to any numbers, so I mean, I'm not gonna know that. But yeah, just get in Bruiser, Vanguard, Mighty Mech for the things. I also didn't know what the Darkstar black holes did. I didn't know those were tanks. In retrospect, it'd probably be like you could drop this and then you can play another backliner like Zaya. Yeah, because then you have Zaya Nunu, and then you play +1, and you already have like an okay amount of frontline. So this is like kind of wrong. I'll say this is like 0.5, and when editing this, I'll count this as like 0.5. Because I mean, this is just straightforward. Put in vertical. I predicted that you kind of need the emblem because the trait web for this trait is awful. So, I mean, there's that much, but I mean, I don't know if I can. Mm, I'm not sure if I'm going to count this as 0.5 or as 1. Name a YouTuber for an edit. I don't know. Uh, Doug. That's a pretty good YouTuber. But yeah, Darkstar. I mean, this is just again, this is not really in the the stuff that counts, or not that it doesn't count. It doesn't really matter because everyone's gonna try to put in the vertical. So This isn't really anything crazy. Voyager. Uh, yeah. This is a comp. It's not meta, but I mean it's a okay core. I kind of got this stuff going, which this led to the Victor comp. This led to a lot of these like cores, and I kind of kept that in mind. And I'm just considering what the fast like 8 version. This isn't even like fast 8. This is like set level 7. But yeah, so I don't know. But I mean, this is. I think the intent here was just what would you do with Voyager if you would go for 5. I don't think you would. I think because I mean I don't know the emblem effects that Voyager trait is. I mean I think the sweet spot for Voyager is 3. That's where you get the biggest jump. But I mean it's like reminiscent of Victor, but this isn't like a meta version of Karma. Wait, this I mean this actually this is kind of similar to the Karma Flex, but this isn't that. I didn't put it so, and I don't have anything similar to the like with the Lysandra Nami, which is definitely a better board. So I can count that. So yeah, this is just wrong. Vanguard Zaya. This is a comp I believe in pretty confidently. Like even now, even though it's not being played, I do think this is a pretty good board. Uh, this is just a Zaya variation. Um, yeah, it's the same kind of thing. You're just playing 4 Vanguard over the other stuff. I do have the other board as well, like the normal Zaya board. I'm about to show right here, but I did make that one as well. But this is just another variation. I don't know how Jin works, so he has a blue buff, but that doesn't really matter. Uh, but yeah, this board is pretty decent, I think. I think it's about as playable as the other one, the Meeple version, which I will showcase right here. Boom. Yeah, I predicted this board. This is meta board. It took a while to get here, but once they buffed Zaya enough and they nerfed a bunch of other stuff, this is just straight up a meta board. And yeah, I think this is pretty good. That's another +1. I'm considering the Vanguard Zaya +1. You know, people don't play that. I've played that before, and I've won lobbies with that. So just because you don't see it on a comp list doesn't mean it's not a meta board. But yeah, this is just another variation. I modeled this one after like the kind of like the Prodigy Yumi board. This is just like the mixed tank variation, and then you have the main carry, and then your other secondary carries. In this case, it's Jin or board. But yeah, this is just a straight up +1. This is just a meta board. Yep. And it took people a while to get here, but I had this before PB even started. I don't know what's going on here. Shepherd LeBlanc. This is me trying to make a board with the emblem 7 Shepherd. This is the board. I mean, this is pretty straightforward. I mean, okay, you can tell this is an old thing because Tactics didn't even have the summon appear. But this just is the board for this trait. So even though this comp isn't even that good because 7 Shepherd isn't that good, and then they're nerfing it again for some reason. But yeah, this is just the board. So yeah, that's pretty good. LeBlanc. Okay, this is a little different because people play with Karma. I have this psionic version with Sona. I mean, this is like mostly correct. Okay, okay, so you have what? Meepsy Karma over. Oh, there's no Nunu on this board. Oh, that makes it kind of wrong. I have four Vanguard in, but I don't have Nunu. And this is another variation that can work, uh, especially with how contested Nunu is, and especially with how Nunu's getting nerfed. But this is higher cap, kind of. Right, right. What are the four Vanguards that are normally around? It's normally these three. Oh, but okay, they run Karma for this. What's the board that people actually play? Yeah, it's okay. They do play Mord. Yeah, it's just Meepsy Karma. Mine is just kind of a higher cap version. It's more or less the same thing though. Like I play Blitzcrank Sona. I get Scion again. I mean, the cap for this would be what? Not sure. I mean, the cap for this is just Vex, but overall, this is kind of similar. I'm not gonna go and say that this is wrong, but it's very similar. The core of it's correct. I don't know. I can have this like zero point 0.5. Though this is like another one that's like on a technicality. This might be more correct than the other one. People aren't playing this version, so and this is dependent on the Psionic. I assume if the Psionic sucks, you wouldn't play it. But I would imagine that something like Drone Uplink on LeBlanc or Sona, probably pretty good. Or like the tank one on Tahm Kench, or the mana one on Sona. This I'm not ready to give up as wrong, but I can't also say that it is right. So at worst, I'll say this is like zero point 0.5. It's like half right. So now let's go through what else. Meeple Corky Ribbon. Uh, yeah, this is pretty much it. At least, I mean, this is the version that people play. Items are wrong. That's fine. Okay, so with this Riven build, I put this Riven build on every Riven board because I was operating under the assumption that Riven would work kind of like Diana. The main thing I was kind of going for was that her shield would scale, so her casting more would make her shield ridiculous and she'd be unkillable. However, they made her shield a flat amount that does not scale, so this build doesn't really have value. I think if the shield did scale, my build would be correct. However, because that is not the case, there's just no need for that. So yeah, that's what I was going for, but I mean, I had no way to know that because I'm not seeing the numbers and I'm not seeing that there's no ratio for the shield. But other than that, this is just a board. It's not the strongest board, but that's just kind of because Meeple sucks. Corky's a little undertuned. Uh, but yeah, this is just a meta board. So yeah, I don't know what I'm doing here, changing items, I guess. Rogue Riven. This is pretty much this is like the Mountain Riven comp. That's what this turned into, right? I mean, this is like a Riven centric comp, but this is basically what this is. I have a bit more Rogan. I mean, this is the core of it. And I mean, overall, this is an okay board. I think what these optimizations you get to, I mean, Shannon in comes at 9, so that doesn't really matter. You're just getting 3 Stargazer. With Mountain, you want to get to the 8 as fast as possible, so I guess. But like, if you farm the emblems early, you would just be able to play it. I didn't think about Mountain when making this. This is kind of just his own board, and I think it works fine. I'll say this is like zero point 0.5 towards the Mountain Riven board, but I mean, in a meta where Riven herself just becomes really strong, that's when I think this would just be pretty good. I'm not even sure this is I mean, I don't know if this would ever beat Space Groove Riven, just kind of how that lined up. But this isn't a bad board by any means. This is what level 8. And this Rust is a flex unit. You can technically go 2 more Vanguards. Like Mord plus like Alawi, I guess. Add more frontline. But I like this rogue variation. I'm trying to add more rogues without like creating a terrible board. Because the other option, because this is a fast 8 board, the other option is just the reroll board, the reroll Kaiso Fizz, which is just another board, which I'll talk about later. But yeah, I mean this is wrong, but I don't think this is a bad board by any means. I guess the way to do it is to like take something like this and then see how many of these I got right. That's probably the best way to measure it. Because if I overcompensate, I don't think I should really be punished for that. This is another Redeemer board. Is this the same one as before? Might be. Or it's a similar variation. Yeah. Psionic Yeast. Oh no. This is me trying to make a vertical psionic board. Uh, I have no upgraded mechs here, it would seem. So I don't know if that's correct. Uh, I mean, I don't know what the upgraded mechs do, or I didn't at the time. Even then, what is the correct? I mean, this is not. I mean, it would be more correct to play Nova, but I also didn't know how that worked, so I don't blame myself for getting that wrong. But this is wrong. I can't really say this is right. There was a point in time where this was like played, but I mean, this is still. Yeah, there's no psionic board. Not to say that there won't ever be a psionic board, because I mean they're gonna have something with the trade. But if I were to make it now, what would that look like? And what are the units we have here? This. Like I'd imagine you go for Nova here. What do I have here? Would Shepard ever be able to fit in here? Probably not. But you don't really need Shepard for this. I don't know. I really don't know what a psionic board would look like. Because I mean, this would be pretty good. Like I could look at the Urgot's board because it's kind of like something similar. Except I just play psionic units over like This Ross didn't like this. 5-7. This becomes Mecca, that'd be 8. 'But even then, wouldn't you just prefer like this and then like Fiora 9? How many units is this? This is 9. Yeah, this is probably a better board. So yeah, I'd probably put it would look like this, I think. Which is not what I have. So yeah, I get baited by Mecha. Yeah, this is how I would predict this Psionic board to look like. But yeah, so that's the end of that one. Nova Kindred. This is another, you just put all the Nova units and then add support traits. So in that regard, I got this right. But, I mean, Kindred very quickly fell off. That doesn't mean that this board is wrong. This board is just correct. But the better Nova variation, I did not predict. Right? I'm pretty sure I did not predict. Like, the one that people played was... Well, one, I didn't know what the emblem did. So, can't blame myself for that. But this Marauder board, which is just the same thing, except you put in Yi Fiora instead of some of the like Caitlyn. This level 8 board is level 8 board. Yeah, it's just drop Caitlyn for 2 Marauders. I mean, this is like basically correct. Without knowing what the emblem effect is or how the Nova trait worked, this is about as close as correct as possible. But that makes this board less impressive as otherwise. Thoughts? Don't know whether to count this or not. At the very least, I mean, just the Kindred board is correct, but this isn't what that is. So, should Kindred get buffed again? Which she probably will, but not in the next patch. But yeah, I'm counting this for the most part because it's just the same thing. Except you're putting in the units that are good. We're talking about like comp design, not about balance, which is not possible to predict when you don't have access to numbers or how the traits work. But as I said, this is not very impressive because it's just put in 5 Nova and then fill in traits. So, not gonna get too upset about that anyways. Nova, or no, Space Groove Nami. This is a mess in the current meta. This is pretty much correct, except I have, what, Shannon? No, Shannon's right. This is just without emblem. With emblem, you just Space Groove Vermin, put that Nunu in here. This is just the Space Groove Nami board. And that is where it came from, because I think later I show like the emblem holder as Riven, maybe. Surely. Yeah, Space Groove Riven. So yeah, that is just correct. Pretty straightforward, but you gotta but no, I gotta know what the correct secondary carry is, who the correct main tank is, recognizing that you're not gonna get much with the space group, so you have to play Tomkench and Riven as the dual carry here. I think that's pretty good work. Yeah, this is a pretty good one made by me. And no cash out. This is pretty good. This is just this board. It's just this board, except the higher cap because I have Shen. I have Shen Bard over this Puppy, but it's the same board. But yeah, this board is pretty good. Uh, Obviously, I'm not gonna know what the anima items are or how good they are or what they synergize with, but this board is pretty good, and I think it's something that people will play sometimes. So yeah, this is another +1. There's also another like bronze for life comp, which is also pretty good. All right. This was my fast 9 board. This is kind of like the most wrong, except I also did predict a couple things, such as this thing and then all the other variations. But yeah, like this is I guess this is documentation that I kind of predicted this before the set even released, and I just kind of assumed that it would work like that, and it did. The core is pretty wrong, but I'm also going off of like the maybe psionic wouldn't be such a bad trait to put in. 'Cause, like I tunneled on this, and if you look at the actual boards, they look very different. Where's the like this has Nova, this has like stuff. Not very easy to predict. You have 3 flex units, and then here we have this. This Vanguard board, which maybe I could have done. This is a level 10 board. Yeah, it's a level 10 board. I'm not sure if I could have done something here, but yeah, I can't really say that this is right. I kind of expected this unit to be actually clickable, so that's my bad. But there's a world where maybe it becomes clickable. But yeah, I was kind of going off of the idea that like this broken on Graves, which it is, so I got that part right. This being broken on Vex, which I think it is, but people don't play it. I think if people like play this board more and they get drone uplink and they try it on Vex, they'll probably realize that that's pretty good. And then this is good on tanks. And then on Zed, this is really good on Zed. Target lock optics. So I did get that part right, but this board is very sus. So yeah, uh, this is just wrong, but there is a little bit of credit somewhere. Jin Fast 9. This is a higher cap version of it's like this one. This is yeah, this is the same board for the most part. I have Rost over like the Graves. Yeah, this is just the same board. And this was good on PBE, but it got nerfed into the ground. But yeah, this is just correct. Built the board around getting 5 class Sin and Jin. So I just Jin plus as many as I could and then fill in the rest of the traits. Ross is a flex unit, but this overall just fits well. Another fascinating board. This is kind of similar to like the capped Vex board, except I play it Jin. Uh, I mean, this is playable. This has a bunch of 5 costs. This board is not super tanky. You have Nunu, who's not really a tank. You have Blitzcrank, who's not really a tank. Jax, who's a 2-cost tank. Shen, who's like barely a tanky. But, I mean, these are flex units. You're not necessarily going to play both of these at the same time. Um, Maybe this is a mountain board you play, if you can get to this board with mountain. I don't think this is a terrible board by any means, but this is not this capped board. Which I feel like I could have got. I had to have had this somewhere, something like that. Because this is a very me comp, but I don't have that anywhere. Because like you play around this shepherd core. So no. You have Voyager, and then you go Vanguard. I first would go this, but then what? I guess they could take the next step to go because they play Karma, right? Karma more Nunu. Do they play Meeple? No. Okay, this is a little bit of a weird board. But they play this. This edition I probably wouldn't predict. But on that note, that's how you get the Bard in. And then it's just +1 unit, which is... Alright, that's how that works. Yeah, but I did not have that, so... That's unfortunate. I would have liked to have been the one to have made that, but it's okay. 5 Stargazer. Trying to get... Yeah, this is me understanding that this Stargazer trait does not connect well at all, and I'm trying to fit in stuff. Funnily enough, which I noticed then, Space Groove and Stargazer has this really good alignment. The problem is that 3 Space Groove is not very good, but you have like this, these 5 Space Grooves, and then you can connect them perfectly with this, uh, this, this, this. So there's like a counterpart. So that's something. But for that to line up, you'd have to have either 10 unit slots or you'd have to sack some stuff. If you sack a pair, then you get 4. So that doesn't really work a lot of the time. Though there are some, there's Mountain, and then there's like another one. I think it's Boar, that you can play 4 Stargazer, and then like Space Group technically scales with each one you have. The problem is that 5 Space Group is really good. So like you'd have to be willing to cut entirely. And as for what you play, like you probably want to keep one of the frontline pairs. This pair is probably the most fake. But you can do this. And then and you can see this leads to like the Samira board. This leads to the Nami board. So yeah, I know that's what I noticed then. But yeah, so the Stargazer variations that you play with 5, or that you'd want to play with 5, are probably Huntress and Fountain. Serpent is fine at 3. This is just 3. This is like infinite. This you can play 3. This you can only play 3. But yeah, Huntress I think is bad at 3, but at 5 is actually quite good. However, to play 5, your board is going to be really sus. So that's why this is considered to be the worst Stargazer. And then Fountain is just super weird. Uh, this doesn't benefit the meta Stargazer boards that much. This is okay on TF, but this is not very good on Zaya because she doesn't really care about the mana regen. And then I don't know. I feel like this aspect is pretty underrated, but Nunu is not the best tank. Though I feel like if you played Ramus as the tank, then the Stargazer is probably better. But I feel like this is another one that it becomes a lot better at 5. But getting 5 Stargazer in is really annoying. So yeah, this is a Nunu. There's a bug on tactics that Nunu's portrait didn't work, but I mean it says Nunu here. But yeah, this was my attempts. I mean, this is not out of the picture as to whether it could eventually be good, but just right now it is not. However, there's no substitute anyway, so I can't really. There's no need to worry about this. I will reevaluate later if this if 5 Stargazer becomes like played. Brawler Ace. Okay, I think this is now where I just start getting in the vertical tank traits, which I don't know if is gonna be meta at any point in time, but I have to at least consider all these 6 Brawler, 6 Vanguard, 6 Bastion boards, and what would be played, and then optimizing from there. So this is Brawler, but you cut down to this core. You can add in 2 more, but adding Rek'Sai Cho'Gath to this isn't really that. This also I recognize this from the start because even without knowing what Nova did, uh, Marauder and Brawler are 2 support traits or are 2 splash traits with support potential. But yeah, you could just play this on. I mean, upgrade 8 all. Put this on 8. This isn't even that bad of a board. The Psionic is good. Like you get drone uplink. Uh, or like a tank one here. Probably works pretty okay. But there's no comparison, so not gonna worry about that. Let's see. What am I doing here? Okay. Kindred. Uh, I mean it's rough. Can technically be done. As for whether it would, probably not. This is probably closer to like a reroll board with like Urgot, but obviously this isn't the reroll Urgot board. Yeah. I mean there's no 6 brawler board, so I can't really say that this is wrong. But I mean I just took that into consideration. And then maybe this becomes playable later. If Brawler I mean Brawler's getting buffed. I don't think Kindred is, so maybe not this. But I don't know if there's many other Brawler boards that would be played. Right? Do I even have another one? Besides this and the Asol one? I don't think so. Oh, I have this. Uh, yeah. Oh, okay. There is a Yi Riven board, which is probably better than this. Right? What's the Yi Riven board here? It's with Nova, which, yeah, I would agree. I mean, yeah. With Without knowing how Nova works, It's kind of hard to predict, but then this is just a better version of that. You have the same core, except you have these. Okay, so two Nova. Oh, you don't even play Maokai here. You play this, and then Marauder. What Marauder do I have here? Urgot. Yeah, you don't play Urgot. Again, I'm not gonna know this without knowing how Nova works. But there's potential. With Brawler Emblem, I could see this being pretty good. Brawler Yi seems pretty good. So, I mean, there's like potential there. And as for six Brawler boards, this is not terrible. But as a Yi Riven board, which kind of does exist, this I would say was wrong. So, yeah, I'm just gonna say this is wrong because a Yi Riven board does exist. Vanguard LeBlanc. Oh, wait. I did just make. I mean, six Vanguard. So what? You drop two. I mean, this is kind of about as right as the other one is. Like it's the same like Arbiter kind of concept, except I don't have the Karma here. I have Sona, which in theory would be better, but the Sona unit is just not very good right now. And also, you'd have to drop the Blitzcrank and the Sona, and then I mean the Nessus is like that makes sense to drop. Because like, do you even play like in this board? Okay, you do play it, but in the other one, you're getting more Voyager and Shepherd. There's no Shepherd in this one, right? No, there is Shepherd here, but there's no Voyager. I don't think this is terrible. I think, especially if you have like Vanguard emblem and you just put this on someone else and you just add in the Karma or something. Because this is level 9. And if Nunu is, I mean, if Sona isn't terrible, that's pretty good. Not having Meepsy is kind of a miss, but I mean, the intent of this is just 6 Vanguard anyway. If 6 Vanguard is broken, this is like mostly correct. So, yeah, I think that's pretty good. Bastion Corki. Uh, yeah, this core is like not even bad. Obviously, 6 Bastion is not played right now, and it's not really that good, but I think the core, like this 6 unit core, has potential. Maybe you don't play 6 Bastion, you play 4, you drop these two, and you just play whatever flex units you want. But I definitely think that this core is quite good. You get Nova, you get Meeple. If you drop from 7 Meeple and you have a 3-star Poppy, this 3-star Poppy unit is like absolutely disgusting. I'm not seeing people talk about that, but I think it's just because people don't know how this unit works. But she gives a shield to your allies and she gives them a gargoyles while her ability is active. So like she gives like all units within 2 hexes can get like 100 armor with this, which is actually disgusting. Yeah, I mean this is played, but I mean I don't think this is wrong. I think at least with the intent of looking for a six bastion board, I think this is pretty good. Bastion flex. Uh, yeah, this is just me remembering six bastion flex. Play any of those backliners if six bastion becomes tanky enough. Okay, but this doesn't really matter. Replicator Nami. Trying to make a full replicator board. This board is really sus because I'm playing a Cho'Gath. Like I get a connects traits. I don't know what the alternative is to getting full replicator in, considering that there's no emblem and a lot of the units aren't very good. Like what even would be correct here? You have Brawler to work with. So yeah, the reason that the Shogoth is you just get this immediately, but that might not be correct. Um, how would I get a Brawler in otherwise? You literally can't. You just have to play like Tom Kench. That's what would be better. And then Dark Star. You can get Shepherd in with like this. Where is it? This. Alright. This is probably better. And then you just drop this. For Replicator Vagar. Meeple Conduit. You can add in this. How many units is this? This is 9. Uh, Not terrible. Timebreaker, Voyager. Oh, not having Voyager in is pretty not good. Okay, but it is never this. This is just wrong. But there's no photo replicator board currently, so if I take the opportunity now to make it, and then it turns out to be right later, I'm going to. I can't count that for pre-PBE predictions, but just as like a ego thing. Let's see here. What's a better board? Because okay, Dark Star options. You have this. You don't really need 4 Dark Star by any means, so you'd only have either current. Like it's gonna be one of these two probably. I really doubt you have the Shogoth unit in. How important is Shepherd in? I mean, you wouldn't get Shepherd in without any of these, because the other alternative is just to play a Sona, but you'd have to be able to fit the Sona. I guess the next question is, what are you even trying to play with this? Are you trying to reroll these? Because you're trying to reroll these, you just play the Vagar board. Things Lulu has Nunu, which could mean something. So we just do this. Is this better? Sing Stargazer. How many is this? Is 9 units. I mean, this is better. Maybe with like a mountain, you could play this. I mean, still not that good, but it is better. Like you just play all these mountain. I mean, what you can also use Medallion Lulu to print 3 gold per cast, or every 6 casts you get 3 gold, which I mean it helps you get to level 9. Oh, I think it's I tried to fit Timebreaker in. That's why. But yeah, fitting Timebreaker in is not really possible in a replicator board without this. But this is not right. I don't know, I think something like this would be better. What's the other board that I want? Okay, I'm just gonna save this. Replicator Nami. Okay. Wait, there's another board that I made this stream, but I did not save. ARAM contents will be tomorrow. I got her. But this is garbage. But I'm not punished for it. 6 anima. Not being played. Would this be the board? Probably not. Wait, what is this awful board? I mean, okay. This anima trait web is not very good. I get that. But surely there's something better I can do here. Belbeth. That's pretty sus. Vanguard, Voyager, Rogue, we're not gonna care about, probably. Shepherd, can we get stuff in? We could get this in. Does Replicator matter? Not really. We have too many units here, though. This is already 8. And there's no real tank here. I need a Vanguard. This is Dark Star, but it would probably just be Nunu. Like the important ones are activate Marauder for Fiora, activate Vanguard. Uh, does the Shepherd do anything? It doesn't do anything for Fiora. Helps the Aurora. I guess Shepard doesn't really matter that much. But you also get Voyager. But you can get a better Voyager, right? Because you could do this. So this, like, that's the core. Random Briar in. I guess that kind of fits Primordium, but you don't really care about that. Yeah, no, there's not really much else you can do here. Why do I have Tom Kench here? I have this. How many? This is level 9. Okay, this isn't that terrible. However, I'd probably prefer the Nunu. I guess I prefer Darkstar. You could just add like a gym. But this board is not tanky in the slightest. So I guess you'd have to play this. But this board is not. I mean, okay. I mean, this Mighty Mech unit just needs to not be terrible. Isn't this just the same thing? Okay, I have Bruiser in. Let's crank over Nunu. But I mean, I think the Nunu is fine. And I have Tomkinch Argots over Belveth. Nothing. This is level 9 board, and this is level 8. Yeah. Oh, I don't know, maybe you can mecha this. Yeah, that's the best I can do. This isn't being played, so it doesn't really matter. 11 Stargazer. That's just mountain board. Which, I mean, yeah, I think this is pretty much it. I mean, the goal is just you fit in every Stargazer and you get in your whatever, your Fawn. and such. I mean, no point in worrying about this. No, ASL blessing cash out. I mean, this doesn't really count either. Um, yeah, this. I mean, this would be good if you can cash that out, but the game's already over by then. So you'd have to cash it at 6-3, which by then the game's already over. Alright, reroll comps. Aurora reroll. This is, I mean, this is where it comes from. This isn't really the best version. You have the other Urgot comp being the Aurora comp for now, but uh, I mean, this is the same thing. That's not to say that like all the comps that are like here they can't come from the comps that I made before, because there's definitely a reason to believe that a lot of them did, but there's no confirmation or interaction, so I can't really say anything about that. But yeah, this is just the board. I mean, it's correct. It's about as good as you'd get for this being optimized. And this would just take Diana to be a little bit better. Challenger. I'm just trying to make a challenger board here. I wouldn't say this is like the best board. There's also no challenger comp, so I'm not really competing with anything for it to be more right. But yeah, I guess Voyager and Shepard is like okay. Really, not much to say here. This is like an okay board. This is an old screenshot because Shepard doesn't really work and MF also doesn't work. But yeah, this isn't me like Shannon Victor MF. This is the OG one that got played. This is the one that was broken at first, and then I don't know, they did something, and then the other one got better. I don't think I have the other one, which means that I was just wrong about which Victor board was correct. But I'm also not gonna know that without knowing the numbers, because I built this comp around MF being playable on the board, but they gutted MF, so yeah. But the people they don't play this at all anymore. But yeah, there was a time where this was the correct board, but I mean, it probably came from the fact that I made this beforehand. What a Victor MF board would look like, I'm not sure. It might be this. It might be something else. I mean, either way, like you're playing around Gragas, you're playing around this thing. Like, how do you get Voyager in? Like, could you build the Victor board, but just being able to fit MF? Yes, but by dropping the. Oh, you just drop the Rost. But this board is way more squishy without the Rost. But yeah, this fits more good traits. How good would MF be with like the other psionic items, the ones that aren't? Because this MF, she fires the line. Would this be good on her? Not sure. Shepard, Darkstar, Voyager versus Nova, Bastion Brawler, Sonic. No Voyager, but there is Shepard Vanguard, which is better for the Victor. That's why this board is better for Victor specifically. But I think this board is playable if you're playing around MF at least. And also, there was a point in time where this was the board. They just stopped playing this version because MF was bad and not worth holding. So I would still lean towards this being correct. However, I don't have the other Victor board. With the Channeler, Challenger, uh, Replicator, I tunneled too much on MF and not making boards just around Victor, around Lulu, around Diana. So there is a bit of error on my part. But yeah. Replicator Lulu. Obviously the core is gonna be around Lulu, but I have to consider what would happen if you just don't play the MF at all. Replicator MF Lulu. This is the expensive board. This is really good with Medallion, if you play that. The version you have like here is this like perfect synergy board, but I don't think this board is very good. This board I don't think is better than like the other Lulu board. I think, where do I have? There's no Lulu board here, right? Low play rate. Maybe I just go to this. Oh, I guess this one is better. Never mind, I guess. But yeah, this board, like I said, is built around MF. Versus this other board, it kind of just plays better because you have less contested units. So yeah, I don't know. There is a lot of debate as to whether this board is or the other board is actually better or not. I mean, stats wise, it is, but I think depending on how the meta shifts and whether some units become more available, then it becomes. Oh, the other thing is that I mean, this is just the wrong replicator MF board because there was also. Oh, there's just no. They don't play it anymore. But I forgot what the build looked like. There was like MF Maokai or something. I forgot what the board was. I might have it on the not this. I have it here, right? Yeah, this was the board. That was good on PBE. Why? I don't know, but this board was quite good. But yeah, at least, I mean, that's where this comp came from, though. If Replicator MF comes back, I don't know which would be the board that gets played. Whether it's this one or the other old board. Okay, Belbuff, Nova. I have a couple of variations. This is playing Pantheon Riven, which, I mean, is kind of played now. It took a while to get here, but the people are playing this Pantheon Riven board as an alternative here. I think the other one I also have. Okay, this is Marauder. This one is not played. However, no, there's no however. This one just is not played. This is wrong. But the third, I have a third one, don't I? Somewhere? Oh, I guess I have it in the other one here. Fate Weaver. I I don't know. I kind of thought one cost would be reroll would be good. I didn't. I had no way of knowing that Jax would be overtuned, but the general core is kind of okay. I mean, this version is better in stats, I think. No, no, it's not. Not anymore. It was at one point. Maybe not. I guess if we're saying this is the same thing, then yeah, no, this is not even close. And the main difference is just underestimating Talon as another one cost. But I don't know if this win rate swing is near the Jacks being broken to the Talon. Because if you just played this board without. Nah, I'm just gonna say this is wrong because balance problems. But yeah, this is not a bad board by any means. It's just not what ended up being balanced. Yeah, I make a note here that it's kind of hard to play around this. I should have just thrown in the Talon, I guess. I mean, is this correct to do that, even though he wouldn't have a trait for most of the time you're rerolling him? Now, Primordian, this is interesting because this is like mostly correct. It took a while to get here, but what do I have here? I have both things here. So I have 4 Brawler and like 3 Rogue, but really you just put one of these and then also put in like Nova. So yeah. This is more right than what people were doing before, but it's still wrong. No, actually, there might be a world where this is just correct. I haven't actually considered this. But what if you just don't play Nova at all? You just play this. And this is what, level 8? And then on 9, you can just put in like an actual good unit. I actually need to play this because this might actually be more correct than the current meta version. But you don't play Challenger or Marauder here. So, and this is more Briar. This is more Briar focused, so it probably isn't, right? I don't know. I'll have to play around with this a bit, but I mean, I'll give myself at least like 0.5 here for understanding like this pattern being better than the other one. I had no way of knowing how Nova worked, so I mean, there's no way to know. Semi or reroll. This is the knockup comp. Uh, yeah, this is just the knockup comp. I don't have the not Stargazer variation here, even though I made it that later. But yeah, this is just the Mira knockup comp. This is just the board that is played. So yeah, that's just correct. Also, I'm not gonna explain this joke. Kaisa Fizz. This one I got quite wrong, I think. Kind of. Um, I have a Cho'Gath on my board, so that's already something wrong. Uh, so yeah, there's no. So I have Poppy, which is also kind of wrong because you play Ornn, you play. Like I want to get Timebreaker in, but I mean, there's just not really worth doing. Do I have anything here? I mean, this is like correct, but I mean, this board is just still not really the right one. Cause yeah, it's kind of hard to play around Rammus with because reroll, and also this core is pretty sus. The board you play. Okay, they finally moved this shit down to B tier. Thank you. But you play around Meeple, you play around this. I mean, low key, this board is supposed to be Riven on 8 instead of Karma on 8. But yeah, this board is for the most part correct. You have you get Voyager, which is pretty significant. Ross as an extra flux unit. Timebreaker doesn't matter. You get Meeple, you get Darkstar. Ornn is a rerollable tank you can play. You have the option of doing Rost as well, but both are better than what I have here, which is nothing, and just playing Program Miss, which is not. I also have like this useless core. So yeah, this is just wrong. Primordian Ezreal Cho. Okay, I want to clarify that the existence of a Primordian Ezreal Cho also implies the existence of a not Primordian Ezreal Cho. I did have a Ezreal Cho somewhere, but I don't know where that went. The core for it is like the same, but I have Primordian because I recognize that Primordian emblem would be good on Cho'Gath, and even though people don't think so, it definitely is. Like, if you look at stats, not this thing, Primordian Cho is for sure a real thing here. Like, that is correct. So this is me planning around that. Obviously, this board isn't the right version. I think, okay, Primordian Cho looks like it's just Primordian board, but you play four Primordian. I mean, okay, it's just the same board as like it's just this. But I'm recognizing that this board's actually quite good. Maybe you play four brawler on this board. Like, how bad would we be playing this over the Rost? This is something that's worth playing around. I think next patch after the Cho'Gath buffs, this might be pretty good. But yeah, I in this one, I'm counting this for both as Cho, which you would not really consider rerolling otherwise, and Primordian Cho. Those are two separate comps. Should not do this in the same comp. This comp here is not very good. It's too much of a mess. Right? This board isn't really okay. Like you play Riven on 5. Or not, you play Kaisa on 5. Yeah, I think this is not very good. But Primordian Cho and as Cho, as two separate comps, I are good. And at one point in time, like before this VOD, I had a Ezreal Cho comp on its own somewhere. I don't know where it was. I don't think it's in this video. So you'll trust me on that. Timo Lissandra. Um, apart from this part, like Leona turning out to be broken with Arbiter, this is pretty decent. Like I get Voyager in, which is and Five Shepherd, which is pretty good in this capped board. Over what's they play Mord over Blitz, and they play Zoe. I guess I underestimate Arbiter. If the Arbiter is not good, this could be better. But yeah, this is like mostly correct. I think this is a better version of the board that people have for the most parts. It really just depends on the Arbiter, which is another thing I didn't have access to, so I had no way of knowing what that would do. But I mean, this core is pretty good. Meeple Vagar. This is one of the most wrong. I have random Pantheon here. No time breaker. I got Replicator in. Okay, so the thing is about Vagar is that this board is very wrong. This board is also very wrong. The real board for Vagar, which I've spent a lot of time playing, is neither of those. And what I found, which I'm probably gonna make a video on, the board is this. Oh wait, it's this. You play this like a normal reroll. And yeah. And the cap is if you get to Rammus to 5 meeple. But this board is like for sure the best version of Vagar. And Poppy itemization is really important because of how her trait works. This unit really, really loves AP. So, yeah. Like, I'm pretty sure, like, one of the best augments you can hit is Pandora's, just to get to, like, this itemization. Apart from, like, the obvious, like, no scout, no pivots, early learnings, etc. If you can get to this board, which means hits your 3 stars and then gets to 8 and hit Rammus. I mean, if you don't hit that, you play this. But, I mean, Bard is preferred. But yeah, it's just 5 Meeple Rammus. This board is really, really good. And then you can technically cap with, like, replace that with, like, this. But that's, like, a later problem, because, I mean, 2 conduits kind of fake. That's, like, once you're at the final board. But yeah, this is by far the best version of Vagar. I've beaten 3-star 5 costs, not 5 costs, 4 costs with this board. Uh, if you look at this, it's reflected here, And most of this play rate is me. So yeah, this board is me playing this and why it shows up. Like it has a pretty good win rate if you get to the final board. However, it's not very easy. So I'm going to do this. Yeah, this is not right in the slightest. This is another variation. This is also not right in the slightest. Uh, a little bit better, but still pretty bad. This is the 2-cost reroll, except it's the core of this. Actually, wait, is this the same one? It's what led to this, but this isn't the same thing at all. And this isn't really the same thing at all. I had a Pike Melio somewhere here. Oh, it's here. So yeah, this is what kind of led to this board. It's functionally the same thing, except you're playing one more. If you have this, it's worth to play the Gwen for the 3 rerolls. But this is like it's the same general idea. But this is just another one. This is Zoe reroll, but this is wrong. This is not Zoe board. Zoe board is this, which is similar, but new for Blitzcrank, but that doesn't really matter. Uh, Mord is correct. Uh, Basically, I'm just rerolling the Pike for fun, I guess. But yeah, just play Lysandra LeBlanc over Psionic. Because you're not going to get Psionic again until Sona anyway, so there's really no point in playing this version. And this is like almost right. Maybe this is like 0.5. But I'm rerolling Pike for fun here. Just because I think I've just wanted to make a Pike comp before, and I made this one before I made the other one. But yeah, there's no reason for this. But yeah, the Lysandra fixes most of the problems with this comp. But otherwise, this is correct. So I'll get this 0.5. Space Crew Gwen, not a comp that's played. It's not bad. It's like the same thing. It's literally the same thing except you're rerolling Gwen, Pantheon, Nessus. It's just Space Crew comp. I mean, I can't really say this is wrong. If Gwen becomes meta, this might be correct. On 5, it's just... I think it's just 5 Space Groove plus Pantheon. You know, your trait activation is really sus, though. I don't know. It's either that or the other board. This is another rogue board. This one is a bit more promising. Gwen, Mord, Kaisa, You have Stargazer when you get Stargazer in. This one might be more promising than the other one. The only problem is that 5 Space Crew is really broken. Okay, Gwen or Nessus, Mord, Kaisa, Jax. Gwen, Mord, Ness. Sorry. Kaisa, Nessus, Jax, Orn. And then what's the final board? Sack Orn for Blitzshen. There's no Talon here. Oh, you don't play Stargazer. I guess the Stargazer doesn't really matter here, right? But you can fit it in later with Talon Nunu. Okay, I like this comp that I made. I'm gonna be honest here. Me from a month ago was kind of cooking. Yeah, this board's good. If Gwen becomes meta, and this is, I like this board. I was cooking here. I'm counting this correct because that seems right. It's just that Gwen is not a meta champion right now. Okay, Urgot. I have a couple. Let's look at the Brawler, and then there's a Psionic version, I guess. Okay, Psionic. Uh, the this isn't that bad. I tunneled on Mecha. Okay, I tunneled on Psionic too, but this is not bad. There's no up. Okay, there's no upgraded mechas here, so that's a little odd. But in a world where the psionics are good, or okay, so this is definitely playable. Like this is in its current state, this is playable. Like with Joe and Victor over like the Aurora. Like if you just play Victor in a comp instead of like Rost, Aurora. I mean, I think that'd be pretty good. The only problem is that you're being contested by Victor, like who's meta in a different comp. But that's not to say that this board isn't bad or an improvement upon the other one. However, the real problematic thing is that you are rerolling on non-mech'd Urgots, which is a bit annoying. However, this can fit together because this is just another like pattern recognition. I just fit in, and I see that Psionic perfectly fits all 4 of these traits. So that's where that comes from. That's not to say that this can't be up comp. It would make some adjustments. If Psionic were to be more meta, this could be a thing. I could definitely see like either of the AD items being good on Urgot. Like this is probably good on Urgots. And then this is good on Victor, and then this is probably good on Mech. Yeah, there's definitely like potential here. But let's take a look at the other version I have here. This Brawler version. Which I mean, but the title it makes it sound like I still. Oh, it's like the same thing except I am playing 4 Brawler. This is closer to correct, right? I have Kali here. You drop down from 2 Psionic and you're playing this. You play 4 Brawler. Maybe this is more tanky. This is closer. The only thing is I'm playing Victor Asol over Aurora Rost, right? Aurora Rost Mech over Victor Gragas Asal. And I'm also kind of right in the sense that Victor would be better in this board if he wasn't contested elsewhere, I think. And I think that Tom Kench is better than the mech. And yeah, I think Victor's better than Aurora. You are missing out on Psionic, or not, on Voyager, but Voyager doesn't really do anything on this board anyway, because the only units getting the amp are the Aurora and the no, just the Aurora, right? Because like fighters gets shield instead of the amp. Is that correct? Oh no, just only tanks. Never mind. Okay, no, then actually this is okay. It's comparable depending on what the psionic is. I don't think this is bad. It's not the meta comp though, so I'll give this like a 0.5. Between the two comps, I'll give it 0.5. It's still neither of them are correct. Though it is also possible that the current comp being played is not the correct comp. However, until that is confirmed, I'm not gonna give myself credit where it isn't due. However, I think this is a fine board. I mean, ignore itemization. I'm not gonna know how these numbers and how these things work. Nar reroll. This is my attempt at this. It's fine. It's not that bad. You're rerolling around stuff. You have a little bit of econ. You're just putting. I mean, yeah, Ezreal's for sniper, and then Milio's for the eventual Corki, and everything else lines up. And you can also play like a Voyager on 8. Yeah, I think this is fine if Nar became more meta. I mean, Ezreal can also ramp up here too. And Poppy, you can play Poppy. Oh, you for sure want to play Poppy here. And reroll her and you get items on her. Probably more than the Meepsy. Like you probably put items on Poppy and then you move it onto Rammus. Or your secondary tank items go onto Rammus. But yeah, I like this board. This is fine. You play on this core plus another Bastion on 6. And yeah, these, and then yeah. There's no Nar comp currently being played, so I can't say this is wrong, though I do think this could be right. Okay, this is too much value, so it's slightly off. Uh, the core is fine. It's close enough to give myself credit. It's kind of a hard board to reach. User Kaisa Urgot. This is a cook. Is it good? Not really. I have the presence of mind to. Okay, I assume. Oh, because my understanding of how Nova works is I thought you could pick only one of them. So I assume you just picked the Kali one here, and that's why Kaisa doesn't have an IE. With that in mind, I mean, this isn't terrible. You only have 2 Rogue, but Rogue doesn't matter that much on Kaisa. Riven is just an extra Rogue. Uh, Cho'Gath is a trait bot. You have 4 Brawler, so your front line actually lasts quite a while. And without Rogue, you could just play upgraded Urgot. This is kind of similar to Bruiser Urgot, except you play Kaisa. Is this just worse than the other one though? Than the Bruiser Urgot, the Brawler Urgot. Uh, Bruiser is the same thing. I mean, Kaisa's the duo over Victor. My Kaisa Cho here over Victor Gragas. I'm gonna probably prefer the Victor Gragas. The problem is that this is hard. This is easier to fit on 7 because I can just ignore the Riven, right? You have upgraded Urgots plus 4 Brawler. You have a duo. This is something. It's not the best, but it's fine. Okay, next, Double Trouble Samira. I predicted this from the start. This is the only. Okay, I didn't know that it was gonna be they were gonna remove two Double Trouble and instead have two Tanky, but it's the same thing. It's the same board for the most part. The only thing here I would change is I have Rost here over. I guess would be Nunu. Double Nunu would be better. I think Double Nunu is better than Double Orn, but this I mean just predicting that the comp that you would play in this is with Samira. That's pretty good, I think, on my part. And we have the hero augments. None of these are good. We can talk about. Okay, so Poppy, I didn't even know what she did, but I know that she's a backliner. Do people even play this? Kind of. You play a 6 Bastion plus like Caitlyn, Corky. Is that what I have? No, I have Meeple. I don't. I mean, okay, this is. It's hard to tell if this is correct or not. I have no idea because this augment is actually terrible. I'll be right back. Okay. Aatrox Hero. Uh, 5 Nova for Bastion with Shen. They just play Fate Weaver reroll, which yeah, that's probably better. I mean, I went with the same idea as my original strategy, and I mean the correct answer is just the same thing as what's actually correct. So yeah, I don't know if this is better or worse with the hero augments. I mean, I don't have Fate Weaver here at all, which maybe is good here. But I'm just playing around the core that I have that I like a lot. I'm throwing in 3 Nova on top of that. Honestly, this might be better than the other one, the other version. Just because I think they're going to play differently. This plays a lot better around the Aatrox. And I think there's, like, this comp is better without you playing around the Aatrox like this. Nasus hero. Uh, they have six Vanguard, right? Six Vanguard, Timo LeBlanc. I have five Space Crew, four Vanguard. Okay, like isn't my board just like way better? Because I have five Space Crew Van, and I think that's really broken. I mean, actually, I don't have it in until late, but that cap is pretty good. Just Shepherd in. You're rerolling on four Vanguard Timo plus something anyway, right? Like you're playing Mortal Sandra. Like that's gonna be any that's happening anyway. I don't know. I like my board better. I mean, I have a higher cap, and you have to keep in mind that this is a level 9 board. Like this has 9 units, but I think it's pretty good. And I have another version here, right? Yeah. So this is just the other Vanguard board. Oh, but this also has an emblem. What? Okay, there's no way. I mean, this is like higher cap, but there's no way this is correct. You only play this if you can like teleport to Nasus 3. This is reminiscent of the Vanguard board, right? This is just like the Vanguard Zaya. This is just Vanguard Zaya. Yeah. I'm also not playing around Space Group. Okay, yeah. I mean, this would be a better version of that, but it's the same thing, pretty much. I don't think I'm wrong in thinking that going for 5 Space Groove on Nastus is quite good. But yeah. Jack's Hero, another one that's kind of terrible. I went with 6 Bastion, Nar duo carry, play Zaya, play Nunu. I'm pretty sure. I don't even know what they do here. They just play Fate Weaver reroll, but your tank is an Aatrox. That's why this is terrible. This is for sure wrong. This is like 1000% the wrong way to play this. As for whether mine is better, probably, but either way, I still think this augment's terrible. So, yeah, because the problem with playing this version of the board is that this is your main tank. He's like a super tank, and now he's a damage dealer, which means you don't have a tank anymore. This board dies instantly. So you should never play this version of this board. As for whether the correct answer is to play this, I don't know. I think. I mean, I think it's better. I think this plays better because this Jax wants to stall anyway. Like this itemization is pretty accurate, right? Yeah. I think this is probably right. but I'd have to. Things I've never clicked this augment, so I can't know now if this is actually correct. But I definitely think that this is better than what is being suggested to play. More to Hero, which I have not seen. I don't even know this is in the game. I think they removed it for the live patch, and it's on PBE now. Again, they're re-adding it. I don't know which version of More to Hero they have. From what I saw, maybe it's still here. Heat Death. Okay, so no, the one I had was different. So this is just a different augment, but the one that I saw was okay. So this was what was in the playtest that I saw people play, but what was on like the leak and what was on PvE was this, which was he was like an attack speed carry. But yeah, so I mean this just isn't. I mean you can't know if this is accurate or not. As for how good I think this board is, I think it's okay if you play around six Dark Star. No, you can't. You can't really because you need the gen. Who's the channeler Bard? I mean, the question is whether you'd play this over the Zoe reroll version, which might be better. You just play the Zoe board. And yeah, I think you would. I think it's something like this. Maybe the cap is different, but so this is level 6, and then I think you play this. That probably works out better. So yeah, I think this is a run. Hmm. I'm still gonna say this is wrong. I think you play this board, and then am I making adjustments here? I am making adjustments here. Oh wait, am I a genius here? Wait. This is better. I mean, this is like not quite where I ended up But at least I have the Zoe part. But I would replace. I mean, okay, you replace this with a better Vanguard. Replace this with Meepsy Karma. Yeah, okay, that's good enough. I'm counting that. Just look for high cap. I'm counting that as correct. Gragas. This is also, I think, removed. I have no idea what this would look like. Um, Four Bruiser, Pike, Lysandra. Psionic. This is relying on the Psionic item, doing a lot of the heavy lifting here. I mean, I am just activating both of his traits, and I get Voyager in. This can't be that bad. Pike. What am I cooking here? Oh, wait. Oh. I think the intent is that I'm thinking about using the Pike to get things into the Gragas radius. Which actually, that's kind of. Yeah, that's a good idea. But as for the rest of the board here, four Wizard Pike Lysandra. Oh, it's like this. Just like any bruisers. Eventually get to this. And then you get this for Dark Star. And this. And then I okay, that's where that comes from. So it gets more Voyager. But that's the order. It's like this is the advanced version, and then yeah, I can say this is that bad, but the sport is not very tanky. I guess I'm relying on Gragish just one-shotting everything, but I have I'm not sure. You probably need something more bursty. Okay, well I'm just gonna say this is wrong, even though there's not even in the game yet. I don't think this is right. Pike Hero. I don't think they play Force Ion. What do they play? Oh, they do. Uh, Meepsy Pike, Gragas E. I have Mech Urgot. They have TK. They're also the same. Well, if Mighty Mech wasn't such a terrible tank, I mean, I think my version would be better. Because I have more Voyager in. It's kind of the same thing. It's essentially the same board. Like this is pretty much the same board. So yeah, anything else interesting here? Artifact holders. This is not very interesting, but yeah, that's it. I think that's yeah, and this was from March 31st, which is like a month ago. So overall, I think I did a pretty good job. I mean, I have to count in post how much of it, but I think I got at least like 85, 90%. We'll have to see. But yeah, that's what I wanted to cover today. I went a little later than I thought I would, but it is what it is. So yeah, everyone, thanks for watching. Tomorrow, try to get TikTok working. Trying to get some ARAM content. So yep.